Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble, on the blogger site. There's an archive thingy there, and on Patreon for extra support. And any kind of updates and such I usually go about on Twitter X. I've lately been a little bit more active, but yeah, I tend to use it more for the live stream stuff. Again, live stream schedule depends a lot on my free spare time. And today we don't get an active gameplay series episode, so tomorrow it's the Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Yeah, basically that's it regarding the channel. Yeah, I will try to stream today, but again, keep your eyes on Twitter. I will always tweet when I do some streaming. No industry kind of things, news that caught my eye, except for the gaming stuff here. Yesterday I was checking on Twitter, and Gramps, I've been following him, given that he's to a certain degree, how do I say it, a speaker, a front speaker on this battle against the it's not even the wokeness, is the DEI and all the shaming and the banning and the gatekeeping that these people, these activists are trying to do in the gaming industry. I think he's very balanced usually in these views. Probably not agree with 100% with what he has to say, but again, I don't agree with 100% with everybody. I think there should be a nuanced approach to everything. And as always, keep yourself skeptical on narratives, and basically that's it. To a certain extent, this came after some debate here regarding No Rest for the Wicked. CEO Thomas Mahler rebukes a gaming journalist. And again, defends gamers fighting back against woke ideology. It's more about the ideology and the repercussions that it can have, given that since we started the so-called Gamergate to basically the starting melting point, or the like the first grenade thrown in this war, let's say, was with the Cabrutas and Sweet Baby Inc. Detected creator Steam group. Yeah, I've been paying more attention since then, and yeah, I will try to cover the best I can and give my opinions regarding that. Got here a lot of stuff here, and I want to cover the tweet itself, because it makes more sense to cover the tweet itself, because the article goes about here and there, and I think the tweet itself is it's more suitable for what I'm trying to do here. Basically, this is how do I say it? It's to a certain extent calling out, in a general sense, journalism, which at this moment in time, gaming journalism doesn't exist. What we have at this moment in time, it's clickbait sites that call themselves journalism, or the gaming journalists working there. Yeah, it's not that. It's rare that we can get, especially on the gaming side, on like reviews and the such, to have something similar to what we can call journalism. Journalism is something that you cover the facts. And basically that's it. You cover the facts, you explain the situation the more impartially that you can. I accept that can be, for example, opinion columns, let's say, or editorial columns on the sites themselves. But when you're trying to cover a news article, you have to be impartial and put the facts on the table there, so can people understand what is happening, and then they can take their own opinions and their own conclusions. But the work of a journalist is not being an activist, which is basically what it got a lot, especially on, for example, sites like Polygon, Kotaku, to a certain extent IGN, even though they try to balance that not so well. And then they got all those clickbait sites also, even though all of them to a certain extent need some clickbait there because of the to get some revenue out of it. But yeah, basically this tweet again, I will leave as usual all the links even the tweets themselves. I will leave it on the description below so you can check by yourself. But basically, the overall take that I got here is him hammering a little bit the journalist side of things in gaming industry, and specifically to this journalist, which is a German journalist. It's a German person that works on a site called GameStar. It's a German outlet. So from what I understand, they were trying to make an interview and get some stuff out of this Thomas Mahler, the CEO of No Rest for the Wicked. I assume something related to the game. And from this tweet, the sense that I get at the interview was not so much about the game itself, but as a debate on culture and gaming culture, let's say. And of course, Thomas Mahler didn't like, and he got some stuff to say there. He was tough on the tweet itself because this is a very long tweet, but I think it was good for this Maurice Weber to get a sense what it is expected, at least from the journalists from this site, and basically the fact that when you start taking sides and being active in a certain narrative and in searching for certain kind of results, which is basically what people call the woke stuff. Eventually things will go awry. And he considered one of the famous statements. Again, I saw the name of the quote itself. This is a very famous quote when it's the first they came for the socialists and we did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came from the trade unions and they did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me. Basically, this is the tactics that this kind of things. This is comparable to the Holocaust mainly, but the sense of the thing is when you let things that to a certain extreme, to a certain extent, are extreme in their end result. When you let things go, take their course, you don't stand up, you continue silence. The end result will be this. It doesn't have anything to do with the Jews or the trade. It's if you let yourself, everybody else, to a certain degree, which is being cancelled, get out of jobs because from these activists that we see from this, not only from these outlets, but I don't know, supposedly normal people trying to go around about things here and trying to gatekeep, trying to mess around with existing IPs and what they call deconstruct those characters, worlds, and the things that were created originally. Instead of going to try and create something original, they try to destroy what is already in our, let's say, cultural hive mind, let's say, or shared mind, to destroy it because they don't like it, or try to destroy and transform in something that will be more suitable to those own ideals. And of course, I don't like it. The majority of people doesn't like it because if you stay along and see the things by yourself, you will get the sense that it is a minority, but a very vocal minority here, trying to change a narrative, destroy what you like, how it was. And yeah, it's not good. And if you let it go and take its course, basically there is nothing left for you to like. And yeah, that is not good. And of course, this always has some financial incentive behind. We got the ESG thing and the DEI stuff there also, which to a certain extent in the financial incentive there is the gist of this is lower interest on the loans that these companies take to make games or to make the products. They never take that chance on their own capital. They borrow money, and given that these companies that borrow the money, they decided that they have to be some compliances, and one of those compliances usually it's ESGs and TEIs directives, let's say. They just go about it because if you put $100 million on a loan to produce a game, let's say, and if you do the checklist on the ESG, DEI stuff there, you take a cut on the interest in 0.5%. It might get around, and you can save on paying back that money. You can save around, I don't know, 5 million, which is a lot of money in terms of operating costs in a budget of 100 million. And then you can multiply that. Instead of 100, you got a huge amount of games, especially AAA games that cost, taking into account also some marketing, $200 to $300 million. And this accumulated through other projects that publishers wanted to make these games. You can get an overall take, for example, I don't know, almost $1 billion. If you take 0.5% of $1 billion, you can see where this goes. And of course, given that there is this financial incentive, basically they just need to get hiring consultants, which is another thing. Again, that it's another thing that adds to the situation. And then you have to have, especially in HR departments, you got this DEI consultants and this ESG consultants and personnel that has to be on the usually human resources departments and all that jazz. And usually it's people that they don't understand, even in terms of technically how game industry works. It's just almost like a censorship kind of role there, because for things to make and pass for a checklist, there is no thought on how things is. You have to remove, you have to change, and we don't care what you do with it as long as it is compliant with this checklist, basically. But yeah, this is the main gist of how things go. And Thomas Mahler went about it, and I agree with the main thing that it was trying to achieve here, which is given that if you don't stand when, let's say, evil prevails when good people do nothing, and in my case I try to do the best that I can to call out these kind of things and these behaviors. But yeah, basically this was a call out to the journalist itself, and in overall, by extension, an overall criticism of the gaming industry by itself and how people are behaving on this. And then afterwards, we got a reply from this guy, Alexander Bratzi, which is, I think it's a DEI consultant there, which after we learn, supposedly Thomas Mahler said this person was fired years ago because of the friction that it caused. Because it's one of the inherent roles of this kind of consultancies is to change everything to comply with a certain perspective on things. And if you have a group that is not complying with that, will start creating friction by itself, whatever the field is. And yeah, it didn't go well for this guy, because afterwards there was somebody else that confirmed this. The firing of those people. I think he was fired 2 times from the consultancy role, because he is these people are inherently they cause friction by itself, because they go with a mindset of changing things, and when you enter in the project again, as a consultancy role there, you enter in a state that basically, because it's not something that comes out of you, you don't have that investment, you don't basically bear any kind of responsibility for the outcome of that project. Again, that's why consultancy firms are not well seen, in this kind of market, and in a lot of markets, because it's they are not involved in the project by itself. They don't have any weight in terms of the responsibilities and the consequences of that project. They don't bear that. They just go there and try to check that things are accordingly to a checklist, basically. And I watched this video because afterwards Thomas Mahler was going about this consultancy kind of a thing because of this guy, and he left a link to this YouTube video. And even though I don't like Steve Jobs as a person, the guy was a genius in terms of marketing and how he goes about things in terms of business. And yeah, he's got an excellent point, and I agree, at least with this video itself. I don't know afterwards if he changed perspectives on consultants there. And again, there is not anything inherently evil in consulting. I think that without owning something over an extended period of time, like a few years, where one has the chance to take responsibility for one's recommendations, where one has to see one's recommendation through all action stages, accumulate scar tissue for the mistakes, and pick up oneself up off the ground and dust oneself off. One learns a fraction of what one can. It basically telling what I just meant to be regarding consultants in overall broad term there, given that if it is gaming or any kind of other fields. And I do recommend for you to check it's a short clip, like 3 minutes or so, where he goes about what he thinks about consultancy as a whole, because he is not a gaming guy. But yeah, very interesting how this went about it. I don't consider dumber, because I think this in overall scheme of things was a very more nuanced discussion, and it's what I like to bring about the more nuanced discussion is instead of bringing just basically a conversation about talking points and extreme point of views. Even though, again, when you have nuanced conversations, you have to take into account that there is an extremes in the both viewpoints and arguments that you are making, even though you can go about and find a middle range or a middle ground on and makes probably some concessions on the things there. But yeah, my main take is go about and have nuanced discussions regarding all of this, because my hobby is gaming, and I like good games, and I don't like to see what is happening here on the industry itself. But yeah, this is what I like to do, approach things with a more nuanced approach as possible, even though at the end of the day I will vote with my wallet regarding what I want to see. And I think even at the stage here of early access, I will not make an exception, and just as in terms of support for a CEO to buy the game itself. But it's something that I'm highly considering when this game launches. Even if I don't have time to buy, I will probably try to buy it if the reviews are good, of course, because I just don't support products that by the end I will they're not good. But if the consensus is it's a pretty good one when this game comes out in the final form, I will probably just buy it, even if I cannot manage to play it on the day of launch. But yeah, this seems to be a good person to follow in the industry, because a lot of CEOs and a lot of higher ups in the at least in the development needs in some games, even though they are a little bit silent to a certain extent. I understand that they are silent, but they are with the same kind of point of views that this guy has, and with similar to my own. They are not be able to talk about, mainly because of the actions that other people or the other camp does. We saw with I think ex-CEO or one of the directors there on Sweet Baby Inc. One of the videos that went out basically is they use tactics like threatening and canceling and firing people out of their jobs. And yeah, there is something very, very bad. A lot of people don't realize, but some good people that work on the industry already were fired because of allegations, or because they were threatened if they don't comply with a certain thing, they will get fired, and the PR nightmares that the company might be involved with. And yeah, it's not good, this kind of tactics, but we will stand strong. And as consumers, again, we have all the power, because they need our money at the end of the day. They can borrow all the money that they can, but for them to pay that money back, they need the money from the consumers to pay back those loans. And that's why I make a strong stance on voting with your wallet, because at the end, even if the DI guys and these woke activists and the people that are waving the banner of these kind of things, of what they call inclusivity and equality, at the expense of other people, which is contradictory by itself and ironic to a certain degree, they don't have the buying power. At least at the same level that normal people have, and the people that want to see this thing again, that are working or want to fight against this woke ideology, let's say. Yeah, they are a minority, and they just trying to impose their point of views for all means necessary to the majority of the population, or in this case, majority of gamers, which are the clients of this industry, but people tend to forget that. And with that also continue some backlash to a certain degree. The Witcher narrative director, Philip Weber, targets again Thomas Mahler for calling out cancel culture and defending gamers fighting against woke ideology. Again, this is more responses from basically that tweet there, and this is like a not a resume, a condensed version of what happened that I've been talking about in this article. But yeah, this is the tweet that we covered there. And in response, this guy was complaining about remembering that Thomas Mahler was quite happy to publicly shit on them a while ago. And this has to do with the Cyberpunk 2077 launch, which it was a shitty launch. It was a mess of a product. They cheated and lied to all the consumers to the point that it was so unplayable on consoles. Sony delisted the game from their own storefront. A lot of refunds went down. They almost went to be a target of class action suits from the investors of the company. People tend to forget that was a very, very, very bad time there when they launched Cyberpunk 2077. In the end, after a few years, after a couple or 3 years, they managed to recover, and the game now is more in line with what's promised before the launch of the game itself. But yeah, what he is calling here publicly shitting on them, it's with plenty of reasons to do, because of the launch of the game itself, and all that backlash was very well deserved. But still, we still have, again, that's why I don't go and defend too much corporations, because by the end they just want to extract money out of you. We just need, as consumers, try to see what they are trying to provide us and what they are charging us for the product itself. And if we like it, we buy it. If not, we just don't buy it, and we give our response to their approach like that. But yeah. But then after he gets slapped around, this Philip Weber, calling out the thing of the Cyberpunk launch, which with all I concur that the fact that yes, it was a bad launch, it was a misleading marketing thing there. It was a shit show basically. He was then going about, that's why I mentioned that, he was going about the quote of the times of the Holocaust there, and basically he was trying to get around and make it seem I don't know what he was trying to make it seem, but yeah, basically it's my take is when you have an extreme, because it is an extreme, because if you want to destroy everything that is being the way that it is, and destroy and try to change it at your will, without the accordance of a majority of people, that is extreme. And with that mentality, again, I take the quote, evil prevails when good people do nothing or say nothing, or don't stand up or something like that. I don't know exactly how the quote goes. Evil, or in this case, that ideology will prevail and will take care of the entire landscape there. And yeah, that's the philosophy. You don't have to take it literally of the quote itself. The quote itself has a meaning behind it. That's why it's used as a quote, because it's not to be taken literally. But yeah, he then went about saying that because of that quote, it's basically impossible to have a conversation. Of course, this article goes about also how this kind of quote, to a certain extent, was one of the reasons that Gina Carano was fired from Disney, but this doesn't have to do with what I'm talking about. But yeah, this same kind of thought, it was used against Gina Carano, the use of the quote that if you don't stand against evil, and all that jazz. And then Grumps made a point of pointing out that this creator on The Witcher and at CD Projekt Red fires back at developer Thomas Mahler simply because they dare to ask people to think critically. This is because of the main Twitter it had that I'm talking about, the video here. Let me close this, oh boy. Yeah, and it continued the conversation here, because here is the crux of the thing here. This is a video that has to do with CD Projekt pandering to ESG investors. It's not even investors, it's ESG and DEI. How they call it? They are not investors. They are. They give it a name, a very sinister name, which doesn't even make sense in terms of what we call it, capitalist, socially, social capitalist thing here. Sorry, it's not social to capitalist society, which is you got investors, you got the shareholders, and then you got the deviant word of, I completely forgot how they called it. They call it here on the video here. It's a word that doesn't make any kind of sense. Shareholders, it's not shareholders, it's something holders, which is pernicious, because when you invest on a company, you are a shareholder, you retain some ownership to that company. And the word that they use, again, I'm sorry, I completely forgot the word itself. It makes it makes it so that because of the directives of ESG and DEI, they also are some holders on the ownership of the company without putting money in it, which doesn't make any sense. Basically, that's what the word means. But yeah, very interesting video. I completely missed out this video. This video has a few years, but yeah, that's why we are seeing some of the in CD Projekt Red, some of creative directors and all that stuff bubbling up regarding ESG. There was something very worrying that I covered a few weeks ago with the remake of the first Witcher, when they said they were going to remove some troublesome mechanics, and they talk about something like that. They need to replace some troublesome mechanics. I think the word they used was mechanics on the game there, and update it to modern times. I think that's how they put it there, without quoting them. But the main gist was that. And I didn't like it, the way it was phrased there, and this might have some relation with all of this stuff here that is happening there. And I'll also make a reference that if they are going full throttle on this thing, there is going to be a reckoning again with CD Projekt projects there. Because I don't see, if they are going about this, I don't see Cyberpunk 2 having a good launch, or even the remakes of the first and I assume the second Witcher. They're not going to work out very well. But yeah, that's my main take overall of this conversation. Again, any kind of feedback, give me your opinion. It's always welcome for me to interact with anybody that is willing to spend a little bit of time here to debate these kind of things. Yeah, regarding this thing with Thomas Mahler and all the criticism against him, yeah, it's what I got to say at this moment in time, at least at the time of the recording of this video. But continuing to a certain degree with the same thing of the woke stuff there, we got the Tomb Raider IP. I don't think it's going to end up well here. They got a multimedia approach on the IP at the moment, which is making movies, TVs, which is going to be exclusive to Amazon. I don't like very much that, and the games they're going to be all interconnected in the sense that the character itself is going to be the same, in the sense that they will it's going to be the same character. I don't know how this is going to translate between, for example, if the actress that is going to do the series and the movies is going to be like the base model for the game. But my main worry is not the person that they might choose, is how they're going to about the character itself, because supposedly tomb raiding is very colonialist and cultural appropriation and very racist and all that stuff there. And assumingly that Tomb Raider, which by its name itself is it's not going to do any tomb raiding, let's say. Yeah, this is not a good approach by itself of this kind of mentality, because it is bad for a character that is adored by many gamers, because basically this is a game about tomb raiding. It's not even about the tomb raiding, it's about the puzzling and trying to get around some history behind the tombs themselves and all that jazz. It's not about people tend to forget that gaming is a form of escapism, the same way movies and TV series are supposed to be. If people want to deal with situations in the real world, you have documentaries, you got proper channels to go about that, and again, you have your own life to deal with. That's why games are very popular, by the fact that it's a way for you to escape a little bit of the stresses of the day and all the issues that are occurring around the world. Again, and if you want to inject that in every kind of product that manages you to escape from those problems of trying to not think a little bit there, yeah, it will not sell. And to make things even worse, of all this kind of what is to be shipping about, actress, screenwriter, and producers Phoebe Waller-Bridge has officially signed to write and produce at least the TV series. It seems, I'm not sure about the movies, but at least the TV series. Again, this is not good news, because if the media intersection there is going to happen, I'm sure there is going to be some contamination, let's say, in terms of creativity between how the character needs to be portrayed and the stories told. Even though supposedly the stories told will not be like Marvel does, like everything has to be interconnected. The stories could be separated, so something that happens in the game not necessarily is going to be touched or approached in the series, and vice versa. But the main issue is not the story, it's the character itself and how they're going about it, and change the character and the philosophy of the character itself, and what kind of stories she will go on and adventures, supposedly. Yeah, that's my main worry around this. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not going to be a good addition to the IP. We saw the last debacle with the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which for all intents and purposes is less than a shit show. Yeah, because Indiana Jones is not Indiana Jones. He's a grumpy old man that divorced after he gets. Oh my god, it's so many so many things to talk about that movie. But yeah, this is not good. We'll see how it goes regardless. Let's see if they change their mind in the meantime. I don't know. Let's wait and see. Then we got, continuing with more news, Ghost of Tsushima PC, so the PSN requiring crossplay will launch in beta in a couple of days. The game will launch on Steam, and the crossplay is going to be in beta. Supposedly the game is optimized for Steam Deck, but there is a couple of issues here. Mainly is basically if they manage to launch the PSN requiring, even though already before launch all the countries that don't support a PSN account, they are already delisted on the storefront on Steam, so you will not be able to even buy or play the game solo, mainly because of that. And of course, again, to reinforce, this is a PlayStation decision. It's not a Steam decision. It's not a developer decision. The developer, what they want is to create a group product and to have the most amount of people to play that, to pay and play that product. PlayStation is doing this. They are doing a shit show. Again, because it is on beta, the crossplay stuff, because to crossplay it's between PC and PS5. You will need to have a PSN account linking to supposedly play between crossplay crossplay between PC and PlayStation. The fact that it's in beta, it means they can squeeze themselves out on the requirements if it doesn't work for them. My assumption is they put this on beta, so it's like a tryout, so there is no necessity here on PSN linkage, I assume, because they can whiz themselves out of this. Because if there is, again, a lot of backlash for PSN again with this game, they can simply remove the PSN requirement as they did with basically Helldivers 2. However, it will restrict the players that don't have access to PSN accounts to not be able to even play the game in a solo mode. And then we got the Steam Deck thing, which is interesting by itself, because the game is still listed as unsupported on Steam Deck, because accessing PSN requires a Windows system, and we all know that Steam Deck is a Linux. It's Valve's own OS, which is based on Linux, so even if they say it's optimized for Steam Deck, it will not work unless I assume they will let people they remove the requirement of PSN. I don't see any other way. They're going to learn the hard way if they continue like this, because at this moment in time, I'm not recommending any kind of published games from PlayStation, except one annexation on GOG, because on GOG you don't have DRM or any kind of those shenanigans usually. But yeah, if the game is being published by Sony PlayStation, I will not recommend, even if it is $1. They are not worth of the dollars there. You still have people that think that everybody can play Helldivers 2, which is not true. They have the restrictions on the regions, and the regions that might not have PSN access, they are still able to play the game if you already bought it before this debacle, but it is delisted on the storefront, so people cannot buy it and cannot play the game with these restrictions in place. In continuing with a little bit better news, similarly, Yosuke Saito working on new project with Yoko Taro and Keiichi Okabe. Again, Yoko Taro is the creative director of the Nier series. It's one of those that I really want to start. The Nier Replicant and Nier Automata, they are very well regarded. It's one of those that I never touched upon. But yeah, similarly, they are going to get together for a project. It might be Nier, it might not be Nier. We don't know for now. I'm assuming they are throwing out ideas, probably already in pre-production on the project itself, but they don't want to make any official announcement until it's approved, I assume. Or maybe when they are in mid-production and they have a good and better idea when the game could come out. But yeah, at least it's some good news here. Hopefully it's the Nier project, because it seems that the Nier series is a excellent one, at least in story wise, and even in the systems there, and the gameplay. It seems pretty good. And lastly, Crimson Desert. It's going to be rumored to launch early next year, following Gamescom demo. Again, Gamescom. When there is Gamescom? I'm not sure when Gamescom is go about here. We play with Gamescom 2024. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit by the end of the summer, if not mistaken, but I'm not sure. Again, this game intrigued me even more. At the beginning, it was a little bit confusing at the time when I started trying to cover this, because Pearl Abyss, which are the same guys that did the Black Desert, which is an MMO, because at the beginning, Crimson Desert, Crimson Desert was to be also an MMO, like an open world MMO. They switched around mid-development to have a more focused on narrative, so they wanted to go for a more approach of having like a multiplayer kind of a support side there. But in 2021, they just encountered more roadblocks, supposedly, and I think it's going to be solo. So it's not going to have, at least that I can understand, like active multiplayer stuff there, from what I understand. It might have, but it's not. Probably, I think it's something similar to Elden Ring, like an asynchronous multiplayer component there, probably. Or something like Darkness Dogma 2 with the bond stuff that you can bring from other places and such. I will think it's going to be a little bit more in that vein. But again, it's good to see that we got another South Korean. We got the at least Stellar Braid, and which one is from South Korea? We got Stellar Braid, they are South Korean developers there. But yeah, it's good to see that it's coming about to be a good project, similarly. And there is a leaker that the game, there is going to be a playable teaser, something like that, on Gamescom of this year, and supposedly the full launch is later for 2025. This kind of leak supposedly lines up with the latest Pearl Abyss financial report, where the company said it's now time to kick off marketing. So we might be starting to see more stuff from Crimson Desert. I remember, I don't know if it is the Games Award, something like that we saw a trailer from Crimson Desert. Seems pretty good. Got some weird elements there besides the fantasy part of the things there. I think the world itself, the lore, is from Black Desert. But yeah, this game seems to be suited up to be something in the same levels of what they're trying to reach with Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring, kind of a thing, like those open scope and exploring and the activities and the stuff that you can do. Seems to be very in line on that. Like large scale, again, without the Ubisoft things there, which is outpost here and do this and collect that. I think it's more about the scope is similar to like Dragon's Dogma wanted to be, and to a certain extent The Witcher 3, with a lot of side questing and a lot of interactivity with the NPC stuff and story wise. I think it's more in that vein they are trying to aim for. At least that's my perception. But yeah, I will continue to follow up this game. And yeah, basically this is the news that I got. Sorry, rambling a little bit about there, but yeah, I'm probably not changing the focus, but I'm pressing a little bit more on this field, on covering this DI stuff and all this wokeness stuff there, and make my stand against it. Yeah, but any kind of feedback regarding how I approach things is very well appreciated. Yeah. Some gaming deals. We still have Circus Electric until tomorrow for free. Again, similar to Darkest Dungeon, the way it plays out, and of course the lore and the story is completely different in the different setting. But yeah, it kind of plays out as Darkest Dungeon. On Steam we got Dying Light. Again, this is the first Dying Light, 80% off on the definitive edition, which is the best edition there. Again, this is a pretty good game. As a parkour game, and all the DC edition stuff there seems pretty good. Dying Light 2 didn't live up to the same standards that this one did. I think they got a lot of the backlash from the the resource stuff and the Ubisoft-esque things that they introduced there, but at least this one seems to be pretty good. At least it's very competent on the parkour side, and yeah, the story is not something extraordinary, but it's serviceable for what the game tries to provide there. But yeah, it seems pretty decent. We got again Darkest Dungeon, 85% off on the base game, and then we got some. I'm not sure if it is the crown. I assume the crown is the Iron Crown. It includes the second one. Yeah, Ancestral Edition I think is the best way. You got some extra characters there that you can play, and again it's a turn-based combat with some roguelike kind of things there on the squad management and such. Yeah, very excellent game. It was a very positive success on early access games. They started as an early access way back when. We got Void Bastards still on sale. Again, I do really recommend. I don't know why there is mixed. I didn't check the recent reviews here, but yeah, the game itself is a pretty good one. It's not a very long game. It's kind of a short. I think you can go through that around 10 hours or so through the main campaign. But yeah, it's pretty good. Got a very weird sense of humor, but it's a very funny game to play with. And we got the role-like aspects of it, which yeah, it's very good. I really enjoy it, and I even made a series out of this game. Then we got also got around 1 day until the date of publishing this video. Dark Souls franchise 50% off on the first, which has the DLC, the remastered version. Scholar of the First Sin, Dark Souls 2, 50% off. This is already including already includes the free DLCs, and then you got Dark Souls 3 Deluxe Edition. It's the way to go. It got the Ashes of Riadel and the Ringed City. Myself already put out around at least 186 hours played there. And then lastly we got the Invincible, more narrative driven, but very positive reviews all over the place. It's based on a book from Stanislaw Lu. But yeah, seems pretty excellent, this game. It's one of those that I eventually will play out. On GOG we got this one. This is the one that I was talking about from PlayStation PC. Again, this is solo, doesn't have any kind of multiplayer, and usually, if not mistaken, all the games from GOG they don't mess around and trying to impose this kind of thing on doing like the PSN linking. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be, but yeah, it's DRM free. It's one of those great things that GOG has about it. But yeah, there is no PSN shenanigans around here, and it's mainly because it's a smaller developer also, and I think this game is pretty underrated. We got also Simpsons Stock remake. It's a remake of the original one. Huge praise since I saw this game come out. Again, if you never tried it like me, the original one, I know, shocker. You got a demo to see if it's something that you might like, if you're not sure, but yeah, 50% off. Then you got Wolfenstein. This is the 2-pack, so we got Old Blood and the New Order. I think, yeah, the New Order. 75% off on these two games, and then you got Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus. This is 85% off. This is the digital deluxe edition, which includes the season pass there, and I think it's a great deal. Again, this is the only games that I recommend from Wolfenstein, the mainline ones. These free games, at least I think they are the better ones from what I understand. But yeah, this is what I got for you today, guys. It's been a long article there. I feel a little bit exhausted, but yeah, I'm going to wrap up here for today with a plug on my Patreon for extra support. Again, the extra support at this moment in time is more focused on going about trying to see if I can get a storage solution for me to be able to get backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.